Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Career Prep. In this video, we'll answer a few questions on the topic critical reasoning. Critical reasoning questions test your ability to find the reason behind everything. These questions show whether you are an active learner or a passive receiver of information. Critical reasoning is one of the most important topics for the CAT exam, MBA exams, CLAT exam, bank PO and clerk exams, SSC, LIC, RRB, UPSC, state PSC exams, and so on. Since questions based on this topic are most frequently asked in competitive exams, it makes sense to understand the concept well. Questions are dealt with in this video along with clear explanations to make you understand the concept clearly. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to get notifications as soon as we post a new video. So let's start. Let's first understand the concept of critical reasoning. So what is critical reasoning? Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally, understanding the logical connection between ideas. Critical reasoning is all about identifying, analyzing, and solving problems systematically. Critical reasoning questions are similar to reading comprehension questions. Here a passage is given and questions are asked based on the passage. These questions test your ability to understand short arguments and use your reasoning effectively to arrive at the correct answer. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. Many business offices are located in buildings having 2 to 8 floors. If a building has more than 3 floors, it has a lift. If the above statements are true, which of the following must be true? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here the passage states that if the building has more than 3 floors, then it has a lift. Now look at option A, which says second floors do not have lifts. But the buildings which have say 5 floors, they have second floor also. So clearly in such buildings, the second floor has a lift. So option A, which says second floors do not have lifts, is not true. Look at option B, which says seventh floors have lifts. This is true because all buildings with more than 3 floors has a lift. So all 7th floors have lifts. Option C states only floors above the 3rd floors have lifts. Now clearly this option is wrong because buildings which have say 5 floors have uh, a second floor also, which means the second floor has a lift in such buildings. So saying only floors above the 3rd floors have lifts is not true. So option C is wrong. Look at option D. All floors may be reached by lifts. Now this option is definitely not true because had it been the case, then even the buildings with 2 floors would have had lifts. So clearly here you can see that only option B is true. So the correct answer is option B. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. Between 1960 and 1970, ivory poachers in the African nation of Zimbabwe killed over 6,500 elephants. During that period, the total elephant population in Zimbabwe fell from about 35,000 to just under 30,000. In 1970, new anti-poaching measures were implemented in Zimbabwe, and between 1970 and 1980, over 800 poachers were arrested and expelled from the country. Nevertheless, by 1980, the elephant population in Zimbabwe had fallen to about 21,000. Which of the following, if true, would best help to explain the apparent paradox presented above? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now it's given that new anti-poaching measures were implemented in Zimbabwe. So, and between 1970 and 1980, over 800 poachers were arrested and expelled from the country. So, the population of elephants should have increased. But nevertheless, by 1980, the elephant population in Zimbabwe had decreased. So this is the paradox. Instead of an increase in population, there has been a decrease in the elephant population. This is the paradox. Now, this paradox can be explained if an answer option offers an alternate reason for the decrease of population. Now, when you look at the given answer options, you will see that answer options A, B, and C are irrelevant. Option D says in Zimbabwe between 1970 and 1980, thousands of acres of forest, the elephant's natural habitat, were cleared for farming. Clearly, this option offers an alternate reason for the decrease of elephant population. So the correct answer is option D. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. If highways were restricted to cars and only those trucks with capacity of less than 8 tons, most of the truck traffic would be forced to run outside highways. Such a reduction in the amount of truck traffic would reduce the risk of collision on highways. The conclusion drawn in the first sentence depends on which of the following assumptions. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here the first sentence says that if highways were restricted to cars and only those trucks with capacity of less than 8 tons, then most of the truck traffic would be forced to run outside highways. Now this conclusion can be true only if it is assumed that most trucks that use highways have a capacity of more than 8 tons. When you look at the given answer options, you will see that the conclusion drawn in the first sentence depends on the assumption made in option C, which states most trucks that are currently running in the highway have a capacity of more than 8 tons. So the correct answer is option C. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. It is difficult to keep deep wounds free of bacteria. Even strong antibiotics fail to kill the bacteria that live in such wounds. However, many physicians have succeeded in eliminating bacteria from deep wounds by packing the wound with a sweet substance like sugar. Which one of the following, if true, most helps to explain why treating deep wounds with sugar as described above is successful? Here you are given 5 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here we have to look for an explanation as to why packing a deep wound with sugar would successfully kill the bacteria that live in such deep wounds. Now let's look at each one of the given answer options separately. Option A says bacteria that live in deep wounds thrive in a moist environment and sugar has a dehydrating effect. So as option A states, sugar makes a wound dry and bacteria like moisture. So here it's clear that a sugar environment tends to eliminate bacteria. So the reason given in option A explains as to why packing a wound with sugar would successfully kill the bacteria in the deep wounds. Let's now look at the remaining answer options. Let's now look at option B. Option B says sugar that is nearly pure is readily available for use in medical treatments. So sugar is available for use. But this does not explain why treating deep wounds with sugar is successful. Let's look at option C. Option C says many kinds of bacteria can use sugar as a nutrient and will reproduce rapidly when sugar is available to them. Now we are trying to figure out why sugar in a wound kills bacteria, not how it might provide an environment in which they thrive. So option C is not the correct option. Let's look at option D. Some foods that contain sugar can weaken the effects of certain antibiotics. Now option D deals with foods that contain sugar, which is far removed from the treatment described in the passage. And in any case, if sugar were to weaken an antibiotic, that would be harmful rather than helpful. So option D is not the correct option. Clearly, both option C and D give us more or less the opposite of what we want. Let's look at option E. Option E says strong antibiotics were developed only recently, but the use of sugar as a treatment for wounds dates back to ancient times. Now option E is unnecessary background information. How does the long time use of sugar on wounds relate to with why it has the effect it does? So option E also is not relevant. So after considering all the answers, clear that only option A explains why treating deep wounds with sugar is successful. So the correct answer is option A. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. Many of the yachts anchored in Miami boast a luxurious hot tub on the top deck. Almost 80% of the yachts that were sold in the past 15 years in Miami are older models, and none of them had built-in hot tubs. The information given above most strongly supports which of the following. Here you are given four options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now, the two pieces of evidence we are offered in the passage do not allow us to make a strong enough conclusion to connect yachts to hot tubs. The first sentence tells us that many of the yachts in Miami have a hot tub, but we do not know how many of these yachts are older models and how many are newer models. The second sentence tells us that 80% sold were older models. That would imply that 20% sold were newer models. Just because none of the older models that were sold in the past 15 years had built-in hot tubs does not necessarily mean that people are avoiding buying older model yachts without hot tubs. There could be any number of explanations for this data. The only thing we can infer is that since only 80% were older models, at least some newer models were sold. So clearly, only option A is most strongly supported by the information given in the passage. So here the correct answer is option A. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. A highly cohesive work group is a prerequisite for high team performance. Sociologists point out that the association between success and group cohesion owes to the support individual team members give to one another and their acceptance of the group's activity and goals. Each of the following, if true, either supports or cannot weaken the sociologist's assumption about the relationship between success and cohesion, except one of the answer option. So here we have to find out uh, which of the given answer options does not support the sociologist's assumption. Here you are given four answer options and you have to find out which one of these is correct. Now when you look at all the given answer options, you will see that um, accepting option A, all the other options either supports or cannot weaken the sociologist's assumption about the relationship between success and cohesion. Now option A states that a group of Japanese researchers found that successful work teams were led by dominant leaders. Now this statement weakens the sociologist's assumption, which points out that work cohesiveness is a prerequisite for high team performance, and this group cohesion is due to the support individual team members give to one another and their acceptance of the group's activities and goals. So as you can see here, accepting option A, all the other options support or cannot weaken the sociologist's assumption. So here the correct answer is option A. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. There are numerous reasons why individuals want to run their own businesses. Some foresee more personal satisfaction if they succeed in launching their own business, while others are mainly interested in the prospect of larger financial rewards. Since 1980s and the early 1990s, tax regulation and liberal policies have encouraged increasing number of venture capitalists and entrepreneurs to start new enterprises. Since 1990, 1.5 million new ventures have been started. Not all have succeeded. The above passage makes which of the following assumptions? So here you are given four options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now let's look at each of the given answer options. Now answer option A says success in starting a new business largely depends on sound financial planning. Now this option is a general statement. You cannot consider this as an assumption. Now option B states venture capitalists are motivated by non-monetary gains. Now this is a wrong assumption since it's mentioned in the passage that they are interested in financial rewards. Option C states social incentives motivate investors just as much as financial rewards. Now this option is irrelevant and vague. Now as you can see, options A, B and C do not seem to be valid assumptions. Hence option D, none of these is the answer. So the correct answer is option D. Directions for the question. Answer the question based on the information given. In terms of purchasing power parity (PPP), rural households have more purchasing power than do urban and suburban households at the same income level, since some of the income urban and suburban households utilize for food and shelter can be utilized by rural households for other needs? Which of the following inferences is best supported by the statement made above? Here you are given four options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now, when you read all the given answer options, you'll see that only answer option B is best supported by the given statement. Now, option B states that rural households have lower housing and food costs than either urban or suburban households. Now, if less money is spent on food and other basic needs, then rest of the income can be spared for other expenses. Now, this inference is best supported by the given statement. So, the correct answer is option B. Viewers, please go through this video till you have understood the concept. Preparing well in this topic is important because the questions are scoring. If you have liked this video, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.